the needs for the Steelers, typically they've been talking about running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers, depending on how you view Juju in that group.
Yeah.
But when I got to thinking about the cornerback position, it is a need, but not a major need. And here's why. When you look at the top depth, you know, you have Joe Hayden, you have Steven Nelson. Mm-hmm. We know that. But out of those two guys, the next group is you're talking Mike Hilton and Cam Sutton. Now, Mike Hilton is a restricted free agent, so the Steelers could tender him, and he could have a chance to go talk to other teams and see if somebody wants to pay him a little bit more. But that isn't still foregone in terms of him being gone or not. Now, if he does leave, now you're looking at Cam Sutton, who has produced, definitely more of a cover guy than a run supporter and a blitzer like Mike Hilton is. But Justin Lane is the real question mark right now because we don't know what he is. We don't know if he's good, if he's bad, we don't know what he is. You know, Artie Burns is gone.
Yep.
So now you're looking at that room and saying, okay, if something happens to Joe or Steven or Cam, what are we doing? And I think that's why they put them up there as like a concern, especially when you're talking about the depth behind it. Because we saw this year, even from a D-line standpoint, when Tua went down, Hargrave was able to come in. Tyson Alu was able to come in. And those guys could produce, give you big minutes and productivity. Right now, when we're just looking at the cornerback depth chart, who are we saying, oh, this guy can definitely come in right now. If Joe were to miss 5 games, he can come in right now and produce at a high level.
Yeah.
If Sutton were to miss 3 games, he can come in and produce at a high level. Now, if Mike Hilton stays, I feel a little bit better at the nickel corner spot in terms of Cam and Mike being able to alternate that, like how they've been doing, using them both in dime and nickel packages. But both of those guys, neither one have shown that they could be a number 1 or number 2 corner.
Right.
They haven't shown that yet.
No. Yeah.
So when we're talking about the backups behind them, I don't see it.
No, it's a good point because my initial reaction was the reaction whenever we brought up quarterbacks. I was like, dude, what is this guy? What is he talking about? But when you look at it, and I mentioned this one of our previous podcasts, I feel like the needs that are being promoted and being talked about the most, the receivers, the running backs, the tight end, those feel more like luxury needs, like I talked about, that if we add to them, then it definitely bolsters the group. But I don't think it's the most, I don't know how to put it, immediate need.
Correct.
But if you look at cornerback, I think most would say this is not really an immediate need either. But when you're talking about the depth and those nickel and dime packages, then that could be a need just because we don't really know. If we don't, I think they're assuming in this that Mike Hilton's not coming back.
Correct.
So then, you said, we have Cam.
Well, and the thing I will say, just to give more detail on the Mike Hilton thing, the Steelers still, because he was an undrafted free agent, so they could tender him as an original round tender, which would give him like $2 million. The thing is, if another team loves him, they can negotiate with him and give exactly. And now the Steelers more than likely won't match that.
Right.
Or if the Steelers really wanted to make sure he doesn't go anywhere, they could give him a second round tender, which would be like $3 million. And then it's more than likely that he would end up staying here in Pittsburgh. But right now, it's hard to tell what his market is. Even though he's produced and gotten better each year, you see the statistics, you see the durability each year. You just don't really know how teams value that corner position, the nickel corner position, especially for a guy who's undersized. He's not a blazer. He's not an elite cover guy either. I mean, when in terms of blitzing, he's one of the best to do it. He's going to get you sacks. He's going to get you tackles in the backfield. But I want to say QB's pass rating and percentages against him are like astronomical, like extremely high completion percentages on him. Whereas with Cam Sutton, they're not as high because Cam is definitely the better cover guy. So I think that's why it's still that conversation of, is he going to be gone or is he not going to be gone? Because nobody really knows what team is going to value the blitzing element over the coverage element of him.
True, especially in today's NFL.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if we brought him back, then corners are set. That's a really nice lineup at cornerbacks. But yeah, in terms of depth, that is something shaky because you think a tight end, they're already talking about bringing Vance back. Receivers, I'm good with those 3 receivers. I'm definitely good with that. And then running back's kind of the only thing, and cornerback in that whole mix is kind of flying under the radar. I didn't really think of it like that. to where, like you said, if one of those corners misses time, or if we're in nickel or dime packages.
One of the primary backups for like the 1 or 2 cornerback spot was Artie Burns this year.
Yeah,
and he's gonna be gone.
Yeah, I did not really consider it, and my initial reaction was like, "This guy's an idiot." But then I thought about it more and more of what do we really need. I think he did a pretty decent job of these 3.